All right, it's the NFL Week 3 spread picks for the season. We are 5-2, good for 71%, and we just getting started. I really think we should be 7-0. The Ravens and the Rams choked for us last week, but it's all good. Today I got two official plays for you guys that I've already locked in. Make sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, link down below, for all the officials when they first drop. I want to make sure you guys get the best lines so we can win more long term. There are also several games I have my eyes on this week, so make sure to subscribe so you can watch that Friday video where I put all the picks in. So let's get into it. First game, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers plus 4.5 at the Cleveland Browns. The over-under is 38.5, and because of this, I would just lean Pittsburgh in this spot. They're getting more than a field goal. It's a Tomlin spot, very similar to Week 1 against the Bengals. And we know that the Steelers, in a game that's going to be really close, I could just see this game being a low-scoring game, 17-14. Win or lose for Pittsburgh, 17-14 kind of feels like the score of a game like this on prime time. Steelers is an underdog. I would take the Steelers in this spot with the 4.5, maybe losing by a field goal, but there's not a lot of science into this one. There's not much fundamentals that I can pull out and tell you guys about this game. The Browns do have the better roster, especially on offense, way better offensive line, way better running game, but tough game. Next game, we got the Baltimore Ravens -3 at the New England Patriots. And this is a game that I haven't put my pick in just yet, but I really like the Patriots in this spot. The Patriots O-line struggled against a Miami front that isn't even that good in Week 1. But in Week 2, they really locked in and they were pushing the Steelers around. And the Pittsburgh Steelers have an even better front than Miami. So I think New England's offensive line is starting to play like they did last season, where they were really giving Mac Jones a lot of time to throw. And they were really creating space, creating lanes for the running backs to go in there and run the ball down the field. So I think New England establishes itself on the ground. At home, Belichick getting 3 points. Belichick is great as a home dog. You kind of just have to take him in this spot. And the Baltimore Ravens, this is almost a fade on the Ravens. We saw that lackluster performance against the Jets. Then we saw the collapse against the Miami Dolphins. That was just a crazy collapse. Didn't make any sense at all. They took their foot off the gas pedal completely. And now we know, with Lamar's contract, there's just a lot of drama with the Baltimore Ravens, a lot of injuries on their defensive side of the ball too. So in this moment, I think one team is ascending upwards and one team is kind of going downwards. They're spiraling out, and I just can't take the Ravens as a favorite right now on the road. So give me the Patriots +3. This is a game that, tune into the video on Friday because the Patriots might just be on there. Next game, we got the Cincinnati Bengals -5 at the New York Jets. We saw the Ravens come in there and cover against the Jets in New York. Bengals laying 5 points. The Bengals season is on the line. Going 0-3 would just be terrible. They could come back from that theoretically, but it's just really tough to come back from 0-3 in the NFL, especially in the AFC, just how many good teams there are in the AFC right now. So Bengals laying 5. I think the only way I could look in this game is the Bengals. Are the Jets really going to cover back-to-back games? It's possible. But the Bengals, they're not going to come in here sleeping. They have to win this game. They can't start 0-3. And they actually lost to the Jets last year, so I think that they're going to want to come in here and beat them this time around. I can't take the Bengals right now. They look too nasty right now. But -5, if I had to, I'd go Bengals. Next game, we got the Buffalo Bills -6 at the Miami Dolphins. Buffalo with the 6 points, laying 6 points. It feels inflated. First thing I think of when I see that line, it feels inflated. Miami getting almost a touchdown at home. It seems like a lot. So if this was in Buffalo, it would be Dolphins +9. It just seems like an awfully lot. If I had to go one way, it would be the Dolphins, but I'm not fading the Bills right now. I'm not getting in front of that. The Bills even covered the first half against the Titans last week. So the Bills, they're just clicking on all cylinders right now. I'm not getting in front of the Bills. So yeah, there's not too much to say about that game. Next up, we got the Detroit Lions at the Minnesota Vikings. The Lions are +6, and I love the Vikings in this spot. It's not an official play just yet, but once again, make sure to check out that Friday video because the Vikings might be on there. The Vikings just might be on there. The Vikings are coming off a primetime game where Kirk Cousins was looking a little rattled. Irv Smith was just dropping every single ball thrown at him. He was dropping everything. He had a touchdown. He had 2 first downs. I think he might have dropped some stuff in the second half also. I mean, he was horrible. Justin Jefferson struggled against Darius Slay. The Eagles just were clicking on all cylinders in that game, and they got the Vikings that night. But the Vikings, the time where you want to take the Vikings, the time you want to back Kirk Cousins is a divisional game in Minnesota. in the afternoon, no pressure, just a regular Sunday. Everybody fading the Vikings because they saw them play bad on primetime. Now they just act like Kirk Cousins sucks. And this is when Kirk Cousins, with no pressure, just at home, plays well. This is the type of scenario where the Vikings play well historically. And you're getting the Minnesota Vikings playing against a defense. Look at this total at 53. You're getting the Vikings against a defense in Detroit that can't stop a nosebleed. The Commanders couldn't score in the first half, but in the second half, they lit Detroit up. And the Eagles lit Detroit up in week one. This Detroit defense is very young. And I think Kevin O'Connell, he draws up some plays that are just going to kill this Detroit Lions defense. So I like Minnesota in this spot, laying the 6 points. They're at home. It's a bounce-back spot. They're not going to sleep against Detroit because Detroit covered against them twice last year. I think this is a time to buy Minnesota when everybody is high on the Lions. I was high on the Lions too. I told you guys that the Lions were the one team that I was so close to taking in week one. I ended up not taking them. We still went 4-0 in week one, but the Lions were that pick that was like, it was the one pick that was right outside that I almost took. So the Lions, they're 2-0 ATS. Are they really going to go from 2 home games covering both? Now they're just going to cover on the road. Are the Lions really going to cover every game this season? In theory, the Vikings should come out here and smack these boys up. The Vikings should score 30-something to the Lions scoring in the 20s. Next game, we got the New Orleans Saints at the Carolina Panthers. The Saints are laying 3 points. And the first official play of NFL Week 3 is going to be the Carolina Panthers +3. It's my favorite spot this week. They're getting 3 points at home against a division opponent. They whooped the Saints last year in a very similar spot. I believe that was Week 3 too. I think it was Week 2 or Week 3. It was a very similar spot to this game. Carolina at home. Hey, they need this game more than ever. If they lose this game, the season's over. The coach is getting fired. Baker Mayfield, everybody's going to write him off. And Carolina almost covered against the Giants last week. And they almost covered against the Browns in week one. So this is a team that's real close to covering. They're real close to covering. And it's a Saints team. Dennis Allen just doesn't have the same impact as Sean Payton. I heard a lot of people saying a lot of good things about the Saints in the preseason. I just don't know, though. I don't know. I'm not too heavy on Dennis Allen. He didn't have success when he was a coach the first time around. I know that was with the Raiders. I know they didn't give him the best roster to work with, but I'm just not that high on Dennis Allen as a head coach. I don't think he really has the energy to motivate these guys, to motivate these ballers on the Saints. And we know Winston is playing hurt. And when Winston hurt, I just can't take him as a road dog laying 3 points, not in a division game. So I love Carolina at home getting these points. It's now or never with Carolina. They're due to cover. Carolina +3.5, first official play. Next game, we got the Kansas City Chiefs at the Indianapolis Colts. The Chiefs are now laying 6.5. The second official play of NFL Week 3 is the Colts +7. Listen to me, +7. Make sure to go get that 7. I think it's now 6.5 almost everywhere. That's why I put out the 7 when it was 7 earlier in the week. Make sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram to get those early updates. You got to get this at 7. Even if you have to shop around, even if you have to get it. Look, my book had it at 6.5 also. I just went ahead and I took the 7 at -130. For me, that's fine. I don't think that's a big deal. For you guys long term, it's not going to be a big deal if you have to lay the 120 or you got to lay the -130. It's not a big deal. It's really not a big deal anywhere under 150. But, when you start talking about 175, -2, those are way too big. At that point, you got to stay away from the game. But +7 at -130 is what I got the Colts at. Shop around, try to get them at a 7. But if you can only get the 6.5, just buy the half point. Get it at the 7, whatever that is. -130 for me. The Colts are going to cover this game. I think the Colts might win this game. If the Colts just run the football, Matt Ryan back in a dome, first home game of the season, 0-2, season on the line, desperation spot. We saw the Chiefs cover week 1 against the Cardinals. They didn't cover week 2 against the Chargers. This Chiefs team, they're just not as impressive as they were in previous years. I don't know if it's just Tyreek Hill. I don't know what it is. The Chiefs team, though, they don't scare you the same way that they used to. They're not the same world beaters that they used to be. They're still going to win a ton of games. The stats are still going to show that they're one of the most dominant teams in the league, but they're not the same world beaters that they used to be. A lot of it is Tyreek Hill. But I just think if the Colts just settle down and they run the football, They work through Jonathan Taylor. We know this Chiefs defense, they're going to blitz a lot, and they do get a pass rush. But you can run the football on the Chiefs. I think this is a really good spot for the Colts. At home, getting a touchdown, this is the time where you buy on the Colts. You're not before the season, if I told you were going to get 7 points with the Colts at home, everybody would have jumped on that. People were taking the Colts in week 1. I had the Texans. People were taking the Colts week 1, -8 on the road. Now I'm telling you guys, you get the Colts +7 at home. You got to take the Colts in this spot. It's a buy low opportunity. Take the Colts in this spot. Even if the Chiefs win, it might be by a field goal or something. I think the Colts are going to win this game outright. Colts +7, second official play of week 3. Next game, we got the Philadelphia Eagles at the Washington Commanders. The Eagles are -6.5. There's not a lot to this game. It's a division game. In a division game like this, where the Eagles are coming off a big win and they're probably relaxing a little bit, and Washington is coming off an L and they need this game, I would take Washington with the 6.5 at home. 6.5, that's a lot of points at home in a division game. Two teams that know each other well. I would take Washington in this spot. Maybe they lose by a field goal or something. All right, the next few games are really nasty. We got the Raiders at the Tennessee Titans. Raiders are -2. I got nothing to say about this game. Both teams have been very underwhelming this season. I'm not surprised. I told you to go under on the Raiders win total. I told you guys that the Titans weren't going to be that good, that Willis, the backup quarterback, was going to get in at some point. He probably will take Tannehill's job by the end of the season. Both these teams, the Raiders suck. The Raiders are not a good team. Their secondary is not good enough. Their O-line is not good enough. Yes, they have weapons, but I don't believe in the head coach. They're in a very tough division. They're in a tough conference. The Raiders just aren't that good to me. I think they're very overhyped. I cannot take the Raiders as a road favorite. And I can't touch the Tennessee Titans either, because even though the Raiders suck, the Tennessee Titans are broken. It's one thing to be a bad team. It's another thing to be broken. The Detroit Lions last year, they were a really bad team, but they covered a lot of games because they were bad, but they played hard. The Tennessee Titans, they're not just bad. They're broken. Like, they're just dysfunctional. At its core, they're a dysfunctional organization. So I got nothing for this game. If anything, the Tennessee Titans couldn't even cover the first half against the Buffalo Bills, and the Raiders are 2-0 in first half covers. So maybe you take the Raiders. Maybe you just ride the train. You ride the trends, and you take Raiders first half in this game. But I'm not taking the Raiders. This feels like a field goal game. It feels like two teams that are going to play sloppy football, and somebody's going to come out with a win. Next game, we got the Houston Texans at the Chicago Bears. The Texans are +3. I'll take the Texans +3 just because Chicago isn't generating enough big-time plays. They're just not generating anything big. They're not throwing the ball much. They're only using Fields as a runner. They're running the ball a lot. It's a lot of read options. They don't go deep. They don't really pass the ball much. So in this spot, I can't really take you as a favorite when you can't get any easy points. They got to work for everything they have. It's a low total. Vegas is telling you that the Texans aren't going to score much either in this spot. But, hey, I don't really want to take a team like the Texans on the road. They did cover against Denver. But I like the Texans more when they were +8 against the Colts in week 1 at home. I don't really want to take a team like the Texans on the road. This is a very nasty game. Stay away from this game. I guess I'd go Texans +3. Another nasty game. These games are nasty. It's the Jacksonville Jaguars +7 at the Chargers. Is Justin Herbert going to play? How healthy is Justin Herbert going to be? Justin Herbert's a gamer, so I suspect that they're just going to give him some painkillers and that he's going to go out there and play. This line was originally like 9. The line earlier in the week was like 9. Then after the Herbert injury, after the game on Thursday night, it was like 7.5. After the Jags covered, now you're seeing it at 7 right now. 7 feels like a good spot. The lean would be the Jaguars because the Chargers tend to play towards their competition, play to the level of their competition, I should say. If the Chargers are playing a real good team, they come out there with energy. If they're playing a lackluster team, they don't try as hard. The Jaguars are still being underrated by Vegas. The Jaguars are a solid team. There's a chance that the Jaguars could win this division. The Jaguars could very well end up sneaking out with the AFC West. And I was looking at their futures at the start of the season. I couldn't fully get into it, but Trevor Lawrence, in a lot of ways, his year 2 is similar to Peyton Manning. They both led the NFL in interceptions in their first season, in their rookie season, and now in their second season, they're both balling. So Doug Peterson has definitely been good for Trevor Lawrence. I just don't know if the Jags carry that same momentum on the road. They didn't cover week 1. They cover week 2, but that's at home against a Colts team that's just cursed going into Jacksonville. And now they got to come to LA and try to cover against a really good team. It's a tough spot. Lean Jaguars. Next game, we got the Green Bay Packers at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Green Bay is +2. I guess I'd go Green Bay in this spot. Green Bay week 1 last year, they lost to the Saints. This year, week 1, they lose to the Vikings. Blowouts in both those games. Week 2, they play a Detroit team last year that Detroit was getting them in the first half, but when it mattered, Green Bay just started blowing them out when they needed to. This year, Chicago has like a 7-3 lead to start the game, and then when it's time, Green Bay just locks in and just blows them out. Now, week 3 last year, this Green Bay team went into San Francisco, and they beat a good San Francisco team. Green Bay was like +3, +3.5, and they went into San Francisco and won that game. Now, Green Bay right now standing at +2 at Tampa Bay. It just feels like Green Bay just has this flow that they have last season where this is just how Green Bay plays. They start out a little slow, and they get better and better as the week goes on, and week 3 is kind of like where they make their mark, and then they just go on to go 13-3, 13-4 for the season, like typical Rodgers, LaFleur stuff. So, lean Green Bay in this spot. Tampa Bay, 2-0, but have they really impressed you in either of those games? Tampa Bay hasn't looked too good in either of those games that they ended up winning. Not too crazy on Tampa Bay this season. Seems like there's a lot of distractions going on. And maybe they were able to block out that noise being on the road for the first 2 games. Now that they're coming home, do the distractions and all the noise, does it build up more? I don't know. And also, Rodgers hasn't been that great in Florida in his career. So this is a really nasty spot. We know what happened the last time these 2 teams played. We know what happened the last time these 2 teams played in Tampa in a regular season game. The Bucs killed them. Rodgers had 2 picks in that game. So it's a really nasty spot. Lean Packers. Next game, we got the Falcons at the Seahawks. The Falcons are +2. This is a nasty game. Don't bet this game. Seattle is a hard place to play at. The 12th man. Really tough place to play at. The Falcons, in theory, they're the better team. That's why they're not even getting a field goal. It's a really nasty game. I could see Mariota and them using the running game and generating some offense and pulling this out, but it's a really nasty game. Expecting the Falcons to cover 3 straight games to start the season. Expecting the Falcons to cover 2 straight games on the West Coast. I'm just not going to do that. Stay away from this game. You have to. Falcons +2, but stay away from this game. Next game, we got the Rams at the Arizona Cardinals. The Los Angeles Rams are laying 3.5 points. I want to take the Rams in this spot. I do. But the Cardinals might be a live dog, especially getting the hook. The Cardinals did not impress me against the Raiders. They didn't look that great against the Raiders, even in the comeback. I thought it spoke more to how the Raiders were playing than it did the Cardinals coming back. The Rams, they didn't cover that game against the Falcons. They should have. They let it slip away. But the Rams are getting closer to a cover. You get blown out in week 1. Week 2, you should cover, but you let them get the backdoor cover on you. And now, week 3, it's a shorter line. You're on the road. You're playing a division opponent that you've had success against. We know that the Rams knocked the Cardinals out the playoffs. And we know that the Rams won a big game in Arizona on Monday night. I believe that was a Monday night game last season. A big Monday night game in December. So, you know, the Rams, in theory, I want to take them in this spot. They're due to cover a game. But with that hook especially, I'm cool off of this game. I would stay away from this game because of the hook. If we were to get 3, the Rams would start sparking my interest a little bit. But at 3.5, I can see the Cardinals covering and the Rams winning. It's just a weird game I would stay away from at this point. Last 2 games, we got Sunday Night Football. The San Francisco 49ers at the Denver Broncos. The Niners are now laying 1.5. And this line opened up at Broncos -3. Now that it's +1.5, the Broncos are +100, even money on the money line. I like the Broncos in this spot. The Broncos are another team. They're inching towards a cover. They didn't cover week 1. They lost outright as a big favorite on the road. Week 2, they don't cover by about 4 points. And now week 3, we getting them as a home dog. It feels like Vegas is adjusting these lines. Vegas is helping us out. Vegas is saying, look, they didn't cover as the big favorite 2 times in a row. Now we're giving them to you as a home dog. Very different scenario. We know Russell Wilson has been good as a home dog throughout his career. And we know there's been a lot of talk about Denver's coaching staff and going for that field goal and not letting Russ cook as much and how bad they've been in the red zone. But they've gotten a lot of those things out the way against the Seahawks and Texans. They should be better week by week. They should be figuring it out more. And this should be a spot as a home dog against the 49ers. They know they got to bring their A game. This should be a spot where Denver's able to win this game outright. And on the other side, you got a San Francisco 49ers team that, yeah, you put Jimmy into the game and you rode that high against the Seahawks. Everybody's excited for Jimmy, but now all the locker room questions surrounding, oh, Trey Lance is now out for the year. Jimmy's our guy. The reality of putting Jimmy in now and adjusting your offense. They know what to do with Jimmy in there, but it's just a little different now. And everybody's hopping on this Niner train and not realizing the Niners, even with Jimmy G, sometimes they're inconsistent. They're not always just a money team every single time with Jimmy G. They win a lot of games, but does that mean that they cover a lot of games? Does that mean they're just automatically going to go into Denver and win a game on primetime? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Everybody is all over this Niners game. Everybody is all over the Niners in this spot. This is just a friendly reminder. The Denver Broncos are a home dog. They're a home dog on primetime, and we've seen this a lot of times where the home dog on primetime just ends up stealing the show, ends up taking everybody's money. Vegas wins big. So I'm not rushing to go bet the Niners right now. I would take Denver Broncos in this spot. I don't know if I'm really going to get a chance to pull the trigger on this game. I probably end up staying away from this game. It has to grow on me. It has to grow on me during the week. You guys will find out Friday if I end up taking the Broncos. But right now, this is a lean Denver. Solid lean towards Denver. I can't even say a super strong lean, but lean towards Denver in this spot. All the signs point towards Denver supposed to get this job done. But, it is Shanahan versus Hackett. So that's where my pushback is. And the last game of the week, Monday Night Football, we got the Dallas Cowboys at the New York Giants. The Cowboys are +1. I like the Giants in this spot. If you want to take Cooper Rush to cover 2 straight games in a row, you can. Normally when a backup quarterback comes in, the team knows that they got to play harder and that they got to make up for what he doesn't have. And that worked last year against the Vikings for the Cowboys, and it worked this year against the Bengals. But is it going to work 2 times in a row? You can take Cooper Rush to cover 2 times in a row if you want. I'm not going to do that. You can take Cooper Rush, who covered at home last week. You can take him to go into New York and cover if you want. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take the New York Giants that are 2-0 ATS, a Giants team that I told you guys to buy on in week 1, and a Giants team that I was real close to buying on them in week 2. I'm going to take that Giants team in this spot. They're real short favorites. I mean, it's -1. It's virtually a pick 'em. And I know that Mike McCarthy has a Super Bowl. And I know that the defensive coordinator, the one from the Falcons, I know that he's been, Dan Quinn, I know that he's been to the Super Bowl. But the New York Giants might have a better coaching staff. With Brian Daboll, with the way that he's drawing up the offense, he's making Daniel Jones look better than he is. And he's also just showcasing Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley is probably the best running back in the NFL. Like, Saquon Barkley is just ridiculous. He's back. He's all the way back. And this Giants team has talent on defense. I think this is a very defense-heavy game. Both teams are going to play real good on the defensive side of the ball. But on the offensive side of the ball, I think Brian Daboll is going to get more out of his offense than the Cowboys are going to be able to get out of their offense. I think Saquon Barkley is the biggest force on either side. And the Giants are just going to be able to muster up a little bit more points than the Cowboys. The Giants could win this game at home. This could be a 17-14 spot. I'm not going to go official with the Giants yet, but they could very well be in play for being a game that I pick on Friday. So once again, you guys know that I did take the Colts +7, and I did take the Carolina Panthers +3. Make sure to go ahead and lock those in right now. There are leans towards the Giants -1, the Vikings -6, the Pats +3, and the Commanders +6.5 is a little interesting because they are getting a lot of points, but I don't know if I'm going to stand in front of the Eagles right now. So those are some leans. Those are some games to check out for that could potentially be on the Friday video. Make sure to like and subscribe. Share the video. Thank you guys for watching. We're going to keep winning this season. Best of luck to you all. See you guys on Friday. Peace.